Hello everyone, and welcome back to another anatomy tutorial where we are going to be talking about the tibia. So we will start talking about the anatomy of the tibia of the horse, and after that we will move and talk about the differences between the main animal species. So let's get started. Here, as you can see, we have the tibia of the horse. The tibia of the horse is, of course, the tibia and the fibula in this case here. So the tibia of the horse is a long bone. That means it has, as we learned before, two extremities. So here we have the proximal extremity, here we have the distal extremity, and in the middle here we have the shaft or the body. The tibia here has three surfaces. So here we have the lateral surface, the medial surface is here, and the caudal surface of the tibia. At the same time, we have also three borders. In this case, the cranial border is this one here. So we have the cranial border here. We have the lateral border, that border, next to the fibula in the horse. And we have on the medial side here the medial border of the tibia. Okay, so let's look at the tibia, and here we have the cranial view of the tibia. In the cranial view, what we can see firstly is this big tubercle, or this big projection called the tibial tuberosity. The tibial tuberosity in the horse here has what's called like a tibial groove. So the tibial groove is here for the attachment of the middle patellar ligament, while the lateral, and this is the place for the attachment of the lateral patellar ligament, and the medial patellar ligament attached to the tibial tuberosity at this area. So the tibial tuberosity in the horse had this groove here. So you can see the groove in the middle here for the attachment of the middle patellar ligament. And the cranial view, you can see how the tibial tuberosity here moves toward the body and forms here the tibial crest. Tibial crest here. Okay, if we move to the caudal surface of the tibia here, in the caudal view, we can see firstly the first line here, very developed, called the popliteal line. The popliteal line is here for the attachment of the popliteal muscle, of course. This popliteal line divides the caudal surface of the tibia into two surfaces. The first one above the popliteal line is triangular shaped, as you can see here, and called the popliteal surface because this is the place where we will have, the popliteal muscle attached to the bone. The other surface called the flexor surface here, where we can find a lot of muscular lines here, so they will provide the attachment for the deep digital flexor muscle. So this is the muscular line. Here we have the popliteal line, divide the caudal surface into two surfaces. The first one here, triangular, called the popliteal surface, and the second one here called the flexor surface. Why flexor? Because the deep digital flexor muscle starts from this area, from the muscular lines. Here, proximal, in this area, we have between the two condyles, which we are going to describe later, we have a very big groove called the popliteal groove. The groove, or the place where the popliteal muscle, or the tendon of the popliteal muscle, comes from. If you remember, we said that the popliteal muscle comes from the popliteal fossa located on the lateral condyle of the femur bone, and the tendon from there moves through the groove, and finally we will have the muscle here, the popliteal muscle. So that's why this groove called the popliteal groove. Good. Let's move to the medial surface. On the medial surface, actually, there's nothing to see. It's a smooth surface located just under the skin. There's no extra structures or muscle to find here between the skin and the medial surface of the tibia. Okay. The lateral surface here, of course, the lateral surface, the surface a little bit like a spiral, a little bit, and this is the surface where we can find the fibula attached to the tibia here in the top. We will talk about this later. And here we can see the extensor groove, which we are going also to describe later. Or now let's go to the proximal extremity. In the proximal extremity here we can find in the horse two condyles. This is the condyles of the tibia, so they are there of course for the articulation with the two condyles of the femur bone, which we described in the previous video. So between the two condyles here we can see this area called the intercondylar eminence. The intercondylar eminence has two projections, this one and this one here. They are, you know, the lateral, this is the lateral, and this is the medial intercondylar tuberosities. If you look exactly here in the horse, you will find that the medial intercondylar tuberosity of the intercondylar eminence is located higher to that one of the lateral side. So the medial one is bigger and higher than the lateral intercondylar tuberosity. At the same time here in this view also we can see these two foci. This is one and this is the other one here. They are the intercondylar foci, in this case for the attachment of the cranial and caudal cruciate ligaments. These two foci here. In the cranial view also here we can see, sorry, not cranial view, proximal view, here we can see this projection. It's the tibial tuberosity, and as we said before, the tibial tuberosity is there for the attachment of the patellar ligaments, the middle and the lateral and medial patellar ligament. Next to it, lateral to the tibial tuberosity, here in this area we can see what's called the extensor groove. If you remember, we said that the long digital extensor muscle starts from the small fossa located on the lateral condyle of the femur called the extensor fossa. So from there is the origin. The tendon of this muscle moves through the extensor groove here, and after that we have the muscle. Which muscle? The long digital extensor muscle. Okay. What else here? On the lateral surface of the lateral condyle here, we normally have like a small articular surface or facet for the articulation with the head of the fibula. The fibula is small bone here in the horse, has like a head and body. The body moves down and ends at the middle of the tibia, as you can see here. So the fibula is located always laterally, so that means if you look at the cranial view here, and if you can see both the tibia and the fibula, so it's very easy to know which surface of the tibia is the lateral. This is the lateral because the fibula is located laterally, while the other one is the medial surface. Good. If we move now to the distal extremity of the tibia of the horse, in this case, let's put it in this way here. So we have two oblique grooves. Between them we have one oblique border here, or ridge here actually. This all together they will form the tibial cochlea, the cochlea of the tibia for the articulation with the talus. The talus is, is one of the tarsal bones. So the cochlea of the tibia, this is the cochlea of the tibia for the articulation with the talus, which represents one of the tarsal bones. Next to the cochlea, lateral and medial. Lateral, this is lateral, this projection called the lateral malleolus here, and this projection medially here is the medial malleolus. Of course, this foramina are artificial, so we did this to remove the fat from the medullary cavity. So normally we don't have this foramina here, of course. What else in the nutrient foramen? If you want to see the nutrient foramen, you have to go to the caudal proximal side of the tibia, and here in this area you can find, so I can put something here inside. So this is the nutrient foramen, as you can see there, located on the caudal surface of the tibia in the proximal region of this surface. Okay, what else? Now let's move and talk about, the differences between the animals. Let's put this to the side here and take that one of the ox. Yeah, in the ox, as you can see here, it's also long bone, so that means proximal extremity, distal extremity. Here we have the tibia, and the fibula is a small bone, of course, attached or fuses to the lateral condyle of the tibia here in this area. So they are fused together here in the ox. What else? Of course, the first difference between the ox and the horse, if we put them next to each other like this, so we can see how the tibial tuberosity of the ox is huge, big projection in this case here, but we don't have the groove in the middle like that one of the horse. So there is no groove, tibial groove on the tibial tuberosity in the ox. What else? Of course, here the tibial crest is more sharp, as you can see, is very sharp and developed in the horse, as you can see here. Is more rounded and not clear distally here in the ox. What else? So if we look at the proximal, let's go to the caudal surface and compare the caudal surface of the tibia of the ox with that one of the horse. In this case, we cannot find actually the popliteal line, which we found it here in the horse. So there is no popliteal line, but there are some muscular lines. As you can see, the muscular lines reach the proximal region of the tibia here, and that's why there is no popliteal line to divide the caudal surface into two surfaces like that one of the horse. So in the horse, you remember, this is the popliteal line, divide the caudal surface into popliteal surface and flexor surface. Here we have just the muscular lines, and in this case we can see also the nutrient foramen here, at the same level like that one of the horse, more to the lateral side. So here is the nutrient foramen. This is the nutrient foramen. Okay, what else? Let's go here to this side here. Of course, we have always like lateral condyle, medial condyle, the intercondylar eminence with two tuberosities, and the same way the medial tuberosity here, intercondylar tuberosity, is also located higher than the lateral one. We have the foci here for the attachment of the cruciate ligaments. We have cranially the tibial tuberosity. Lateral to the tibial tuberosity, we have also the extensor groove for the long digital extensor muscle. If we go down to the distal extremity and compare the cochlea of the tibia of the horse with that one of the ox, so do you remember we said that the cochlea of the ox has two oblique grooves and one ridge in the middle here. Here in the ox, as you can see here, the two grooves are sagittal. As you can see, they are not oblique anymore, and the sagittal ridge in the middle is also flat, not that developed like that one of the horse. Okay, this surface forms also the cochlea of the tibia of the ox for the articulation with the talus. And here, this is extremely important. In the horse, we say that this projection here called the lateral malleolus. Here in the ox, we have on the medial side the medial malleolus. This is the medial malleolus, but the lateral malleolus in the ox is a separate bone. Actually, separate bone. It's not present here. It's a separate bone, as you can see here. And that's why it's this lateral malleolus articulates, of course, with the distal lateral surface of the tibia, as you can see here. This is the lateral malleolus, and that's why you will find here, if you look at the distal extremity of the tibia of the ox, you will find this two facet here. This is one, this is the other one. They are there like articular surface for the articulation with this separated bone, which is the lateral malleolus. In this case, and comparing to the camel later, you will find that the two facets for the articulation with the lateral malleolus are not equal inside, so if we look at the bone, this is the cranial one and this is the caudal one. For example, the caudal one is bigger than the cranial one in the ox. So this is the tibia of the camel in general. As we know, the tibia of the camel is longer than the other animals. Look at the difference between the tibia of the camel and that one of the ox, for example. The same for the horse. Again, if we look at the tibial tuberosity, it's also huge, but without the groove. Here also we cannot find the groove which we found in the horse in the middle here for the tibial groove. If we move to the caudal surface here, in the caudal surface, yes, we can see just one line. Let's put them all together here. So we can see here, for example, the popliteal line, but the muscular line are not present in the camel. And the same way, of course, here you can find the nutrient foramen at the same level, same place like that one of the ox, for example. So this is the ox and this is the hide. This is the nutrient foramen here and there. Good. What else? So if we move to the proximal view like this, so here we have also the lateral condyle. Here we have the medial condyle and the intercondylar eminence in the middle here with the two foci for the cruciate ligaments. Cranially, we have the tibia tuberosity. Lateral to the tibia tuberosity, we have narrow extensor groove for the tendon of the long digital extensor muscle. If we move to the distal extremity of the tibia of the camel, like this one here, and compare that one with the ox, for example, yeah, so they look similar a little bit. What we can say here that, of course, here we have sorry, just a minute. Here we have the medial malleolus. The lateral malleolus in the camel is also a separate bone. I will show you now. That's why we can see here the two articular surfaces for the articulation with the lateral malleolus. In the case of the camel, you will find that both facets are somehow equal in size, and there's a clear connection between them. And I forgot to tell you that on the lateral malleolus in this area here, or lateral surface of the distal extremity of the tibia, here we have this groove. This groove is for a place for the tendon of the lateral digital extensor muscle. So the tendon of the lateral digital extensor muscle moves exactly in this area here on the groove. So we have the groove also here in the ox, and the same for the horse. This is the groove for the tendon of the lateral digital extensor muscle. Okay, so let me show you the lateral malleolus and how it articulates with the distal tibia here. This is the lateral malleolus of the camel. So it's placed exactly in this area here, as you can see. And that's why, again, we say that there are, articular surfaces which we can find here for the articulation with the lateral malleolus of the camel here. Okay, so now let's move and talk about, the tibia of the small ruminant, and in this case we have the tibia of the sheep. Here, what we can see that for example, there is also no groove on the tibial tuberosity. If we go to the caudal view, I cannot find any kind of muscular or popliteal lines here. So the caudal surface looks for me like very smooth comparing to the other animals. Here in the proximal, In the proximal extremity, as you can see, let me just zoom in. Here we have the lateral condyle, the medial condyle, and we have the intercondylar eminence. But if you look exactly in this view, you will find that the two intercondylar tuberosities are located at the same level. So the medial one is not higher than the lateral one in the sheep. Okay? So this is important. You have to look at this. Of course, cranially we have the tibia tuberosity and here the extensor fossa like other animals. If we go to the distal extremity of this one, of course, we have also the cochlea with two sagittal grooves and ridge in the middle here. The cochlea of the tibia. Medially we have the medial malleolus. The lateral malleolus is also a separate bone in the sheep or small ruminants, and that's why we can see these two articular surfaces for the articulation with the lateral malleolus. And let me show you. So I have the lateral malleolus here in my hand, and this is how it articulates with the tibia. Okay, perfect. Let's now look at that one of the dog. Or the carnivores. In the carnivores, it's extremely important to mention that the tibia and fibula of in the carnivores are completely separated and articulate to each other. So that means here we have the tibia, here we have the fibula. The fibula has on head and body, of course, and on the head here we can find the small articular surface, and the same on the lateral condyle of the tibia here for the articulation with the fibula. So they articulate to each other in this area here, as you can see. And distally there is another small surface for the articulation with the distal part of the fibula in this area here. Okay, sorry. So this is the normal position of the tibia and fibula in the carnivores. Sorry, just a minute. Just like this. Sorry. So here and there, just like this. Okay, so that means in the carnivores, the distal part of the fibula represents actually the lateral malleolus. So that means in the distal part of the tibia of the carnivores, we can find only this big projection, which is located below the cochlea of the tibia on the medial surface here, called the medial malleolus. This is the medial malleolus. Okay. In the proximal extremity here, we can find again the big elongated somehow tibial tuberosity with the tibial crest here. In the proximal region, we have the lateral and the medial condyles, lateral and medial condyles of the tibia, and in between we have the intercondylar eminence, like that one of the sheep. You can find that the two intercondylar tuberosities are located at the same level in the carnivores. I hope it's clear. These two here. Okay, caudally here we can find just one popliteal line, but no muscular lines here. And of course, in all animals we have this groove caudally, which represents the popliteal groove, where the tendon of the popliteal muscle moves through and inserts to the popliteal surface here and to the popliteal line. In general, if you look exactly, you'll find that the tibia of the dog is like S-shaped. Let's put it this way here. It's like S-shaped here. And what else? So of course here we have to mention that in the dog or carnivore there's just one patellar ligament, which is extends between the patella and inserts to the tibial tuberosity, while in other animals there are three patellar ligaments: the middle, the lateral, and the medial patellar ligament. Okay, now the question is how to know if the different, or how to differentiate between the different surfaces of the tibia. And let's go, yeah, any tibia, it's fine. Let's go to that one of the horse one more time. Put everything on the side. So it's very clear how to find the cranial surface just because of the tibial tuberosity is located cranially. So once you find this tibial tuberosity, that means you are looking at the cranial surface, or sorry, not, I mean cranial view. Okay. The lateral, how to know the lateral surface of the tibia, it's also very easy. If we have the fibula, so it's clear the fibula is located laterally, that means you are looking at the lateral surface. If you don't have the fibula, in this case look at the facet for the articulation with the head of the fibula. If you find it, that means you are looking at the lateral condyle of the tibia, and this is the lateral surface. There's another way how to know if this tibia is left or right tibia, and I need your help now to identify if this one here, for example, of the horse is the right or the left tibia. So what we have learned, so we have to look firstly at the caudal surface of the tibia. So firstly we have to look at the caudal surface of the tibia, and after that move the tibia toward you and look at the proximal extremity here. You will find the tibia tuberosity, and next to it the extensor groove. If the extensor groove in this case located to the right of the tibia, that means this is the right tibia. If the extensor is left, that means this is the left tibia. Otherwise, as we learned before, we have to identify the medial surface and the lateral surface. In this case, look at the caudal surface, and here in this case, if we find the extensor groove, that means this is the lateral surface, and that means this is the medial surface toward the midline. This is the midline, and in this case, the tibia is located right to the midline. That means this is the right tibia. So can you help me to find if this tibia of the ox, for example, the right or the left? What we have to do is again to look at the caudal surface. We are looking at the caudal surface. The fibula is located laterally. That means this is the medial surface, and this is the midline. That means here we have the right tibia. Otherwise, look at the caudal surface and the proximal extremity. The groove is located to the right, away from the midline. Here, that means this is the right tibia. I hope everything is fine. What do you think about the tibia here of the dog? Again, look at the caudal surface and move the bone like this. Look for the extensor groove is located on the lateral surface. That means this is the medial surface and this is the midline. So we have also here the right tibia of the dog. So thank you very much. If you have any question, please write the questions in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.